Welcome, everyone, to the Transformational Storytellers show. This is where we learn from impact centered leaders who harness the power of storytelling to ignite transformation in the world. And today I have with me my amazing friend, Stephanie Anderson. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Elina.
Oh my gosh. Stephanie is amazing, and you'll learn more about that as we start talking. But let me tell you a little bit about her. Well, she's the author of Alopecia. It's a thing. It's a thing. And I love that title. I love that it pokes fun. And it is such a serious topic, and you're just going to learn so much about it during our conversation. But I love how Stephanie likes to infuse humor and lightness into those topics that really move our heart with pain and emotion. She's being featured everywhere: NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, and so many more. And she's actually the host of her own show. I was interviewed last week, which was a huge honor for me. She's an advocate for alopecia awareness and support, and her mission is to educate and foster empathy and empowerment, not only to those who suffer from alopecia, but also the people who are there standing to support them. And that is really key. So we'll talk more about Stephanie and how to contact her in a few minutes, but I just want to welcome you, Stephanie, and thank you so much for being here today. I know that you made it work, and I really appreciate you doing that to be with us today.
Well, let me say thank you for the invitation. And let me also say that I am so appreciative of this platform. It is amazing. The previous guests that you have had on, some that I've known beforehand, but being able to watch the interviews and um, all the many gifts that are being shared on this platform. Thank you for, on behalf of everyone who's able to witness what you're doing. It's amazing. So thank you for asking me to be here.
Well, I could not think of a better guest. I mean, I'm really excited to share your story with the world. And with that being said, I would love for you to share your transformational story with everyone who's watching and listening today.
Well, I would love to do that. So, um, the title of my transformational story is From Shame to Self-Confidence and Support. And what I want to share with those who are viewing today is to let them know it was an unbelievably dark realization. She was only 12, and the relentless alopecia related bullying led to death by suicide. A young life was lost. And having been bullied myself, the pain was so relatable to me. While there had been heated conversations online and in the media, the conversations I had with those around me were different. Alopecia causes people to lose their hair, and it affects millions. Not many people with hair lay awake at night worrying about losing their hair unless they or someone they care about has an illness that results in hair loss. Now, for many decades as a hair loss professional, I tried to reassure my client that nobody dies from alopecia. And even though those words are technically true, the suicide rate in the alopecia community is alarmingly high and ever increasing. And I realized that there's a need for mental health intervention and a need to combat the social stigma associated with hair loss and the impossible standards of beauty the media pushes. I've seen people suffer from alopecia feeling humiliated, even though It is not something to be embarrassed by. Unfortunately, stigma and bias affect all of us. But as hairstylists, we're unofficial therapists, and we're fortunate to be the people who get to engage with and be present in people's lives at extremely vulnerable times. Whether we're pouring shampoo or changing their hair color. So I started to share my tools of encouragement and affirmations to help my clients embrace their individuality. And it gave me hope when many of them shared that their self-esteem and their self-confidence increased, Elina, by putting my advice into action. So humbling.
Oh my goodness. So much. You said so much in just a few words, but there is so much there to unpack, Stephanie. Thank you so much for sharing that transformational story. I saw not only that you transformed during those interactions and finding out about this beautiful, precious girl who lost her life. It was transformational moment after transformational moment. And one of the things that I really appreciate about your story is that it brings so much awareness to many who are completely oblivious to what's happening out there in the world. And we think it's just hair. Like you said, nobody dies of alopecia. And we want to motivate and alleviate people's pain by saying these things, but it actually compounds the stigma, and it actually covers up the reality of these people. Millions, you said, millions of people who are suffering. Why do you think it's important to share our stories, and stories like the one you just shared? I'm still choked up from thinking about it.
Thank you for asking that question, because I believe that many times people, especially the demographic of people that I serve, feel as though that they're in it all up by themselves, that they're the only ones dealing with it. And by telling the story, even if it's not my own story, but letting the story be told, it empowers people that they're not by themselves, and then giving them the opportunity to work through what it is that they need to heal and to feel better about themselves. And what I'll say is that I started as a storyteller as a young girl, and I thought I had lost it. But in given the opportunity to be a part of the evolution of what you have created in your books and your compilations, telling a story is important, but the way we tell it is more important, because we want people to get it. So your story system really helped me. I had the experiences, I had the memories, I had the relationship with people, and because I wanted to be so responsible to tell it correctly in order to make that impact, I learned that using your story system and those steps were so easy to make that happen so it can be impactful and be translated and received the way that I envisioned it to be. And it's honestly changed the way that I know not only write, because alopecia is the thing, breaking, the BS, breaking through the BS. The belief
Yes.
system's not that word, but I had written that before. And what I've noticed in my subsequent titles, using your framework has not only changed how I write my books, how even I speak when I'm writing presentations and preparing to take the stage different places. So thank you for helping me to be a better storyteller.
Oh, that warms my heart. And I have seen so much growth in you, but like you said, you came with that natural ability and love for storytelling, which is really a pleasure to work with. And speaking of stages that you mentioned, that you have some really beautiful stages coming up, really meaningful. And tell us a little bit about that before we move on.
Can I share?
Yes.
So it's always special when you're given the opportunity to be on platforms to share what it is that you want to share. So in April, I'm going to be at the IVAT in Hawaii. And it's a little bit different from what I'm used to as a storyteller and as a speaker. Although there is a component of speaking, I've done so much research in preparing for not only talking with clients, but to get statistics and find out information that I'm going to actually be doing a research poster with that. So that's one of the stages. And then in May, preparing for a retreat. So stay tuned, people, a retreat.
Yes.
So I'm really excited.
I love that. And what is the IVAT? Tell us a little bit about what happens there and why this is important for you in your advocacy for alopecia.
So the IVAT is a very prestigious conference that many come from to and fro. I think they have it 2 times a year. And this one is going to be in Hawaii. I think the next later on this year is going to be in San Diego, California. But it is to help people to prepare who, like people who counsel therapy in the medical field. It's to help those who work with people who have been uh, abused, violence, trauma. And I've learned that part of my research, alopecia uh, works on so many different levels, but there's a component of alopecia that is triggered because it's an autoimmune disease by ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences. So that's what I'm going to. So the conference talks about so many things, and the fact that they have integrated, this is huge. The fact that they have integrated alopecia, although it's an autoimmune disease for many, it just lets me know that by speaking about it, people are willing to take note and learn more. So it's about trauma, violence, all of that. So the IVAT is IVAT, IVAT. I forget the whole acronym, forgive me,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
the violence
no.
and trauma.
Yes, that's just so powerful. And I'm so grateful that you share that with us, Stephanie, and that you're really bringing awareness to the connection between those three seemingly unconnected conditions. And Brad, that's really great. I can wait, I will be there to see your presentation, and I know I'm going to be enlightened as I always am when I hear you speak. You are one powerful speaker, and I know that the reason why that is because you have such a heart for these issues, and more importantly, such a heart for the people who need this support. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That is an exclusive, I know, because you haven't talked about it before, but I'm really, really grateful that everyone knows the extent of your expertise. And so, how all of the work that you've done and all of your lived experiences with yourself in your life, but also with your clients, is really enlightening the path for others to know more about this condition and to help others. And it's really beautiful how you take the physical aspect as a trichologist that you've been for so many years, and I am always amazed to say how many years, because I cannot believe that you've been doing this for several decades and look so great. And and what I'm saying is you've really lived this in both sides, helping them feel confident in their appearance, but also understanding that their appearance, it can come from stigma and judgment. And so to help them actually have that confidence that whether they choose to wear a wig or not wear a wig, that they are still solid. So would you tell us a little bit about the work that you do to explain this in a better way than I have? And also, what do you love about being an expert in both aspects of this subject?
Thank you for the opportunity to answer that because, as you alluded to, I've been doing this a long time. But what I love about it is because, not to diminish, because I started out over 30 years ago, just, in the beauty industry as a licensed cosmetologist, and half of that, um, 30 years practicing as a trichologist, I learned that there are so many people that are losing their hair. And although I provide things to help them to show up in the world a certain way, I learned that there is something that inside, that although the outside is showing one thing, that internally that there's something that they're dealing with, self-esteem, self-confidence, feeling less than, that it really has helped me to go even deeper within myself to be able to help this demographic of clients, because it's women, it's children, it's men. I specialize mostly with women because society has really taught women that their beauty is in their strands of hair. But what happens when you lose that? So to be able to uplift and to help a woman adjust her crown when she's not feeling good, figuratively, whether she wears a hat. I mean, we call sometimes the wig the hat, the crown, but whether she decides to be a bald baddie, there are those who beautifully wear their bald heads, or whether, like you said, she decides to wear a wig. I just endeavor to make people feel good about the decision that they're making and walk in their truth. And one of the affirmations, and you've known that I've created alopecia affirmations, trying to make that movement, and it's catching. But one it is to empower people to define their own standard of beauty. That's so important.
Yeah.
Don't go by what society is saying. It's what you feel about yourself. So that's important to me, to be able to help people to develop that within themselves.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I love your alopecia affirmations, and I'm always in awe of how they don't only apply to alopecia, they apply to every aspect of beauty that I would say keeps us down, believing that we are only the way we look, or that we must look a certain way to be valuable. So I definitely love each and one of those, and I've been watching really closely as you share them online. I know that you'll give us some information on how to look them up and join the movement, because this is a movement that's worth joining. I definitely think that it's going to change the world, because it goes beyond what we think alopecia is. And you talked about in your story the conversation of alopecia that's already happening, and that was happening at the time when you found out about this young girl and in her tragic loss. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what is the contrast that you found? Because I think that it was so profound the way you shared it. And yet, many people who are watching may not really know about that.
Yeah. Thank you. And be censor me if you need to.
Oh, I won't.
Censor me if you need to, but people are more, they know about they know more about alopecia than they really realize they see it, right? But around that time, there was a celebrity who had shared their alopecia experience. And at a global Hollywood event, there was a slap that was made. And it was just so I was like, okay, finally, we're going to have that conversation and we're going to be able to talk about alopecia on a bigger standard because this is celebrity, right? That didn't happen. They talked about should he have been slapped or not. The conversation was missed about why it was so profound that someone was making fun. And I talk about bullies in my talk and in my writings, but bullying just doesn't happen on the playground at school.
Yeah.
I talk to adults in my center, and it happens today, and sometimes in their own homes with their spouses. So, I felt like there was a missed opportunity then, and it just manifested. God is so good. See, my advocacy and my platform, because I'm like, they missed it. This
Yeah.
was an opportunity. I don't condone violence. I don't think he should have been touched, but I understand why it was so profound
Yeah.
that, you don't make fun of people and there is a diagnosis. Alopecia is in the ICD-10. It's a diagnosis. It's a medical issue. And it's nothing. We don't laugh at people when we learn about cancer or
Yeah.
any other kind of serious ailment. It's serious because people, if it's not handled in a certain way, they can die from it, not from the diagnosis itself, but by some underlying issues and emotional health issues associated with it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy you share that because, when I think about what you said, bullying doesn't just happen in the playground. There is so much about that felt I felt chills all over my body, but I also felt the presence of everyone who is listening and watching and knowing that that resonates with them too,
Yes.
because we have all experienced it. As a matter of fact, when I started working with you on this story, I was experiencing bullying in a collaboration that I was having as a professional collaboration. And it is not a joke. And even when we are comedians,
Mhm.
and even when we want to bring levities to situations, we definitely need to all mind the power of our words. And that's something that I just so appreciate from you, especially because you share how our words are more effective in the plane and in the space of alopecia. But I think it's going to be a ripple effect, and it already is, because I do get a lot of messages about your chapter in the gifts of pain, and I have shared some of them with you. And even when we involve the editors in the process, they are really uplifted and it changes their perspective. So I really know that you're making a difference, but I think that it's going to be really a lot bigger and a lot more than the eye meets, because when we are starting to mind the power of our words with alopecia, then we're going to continue doing that in every aspect of our lives, in every area where we show up. So thank you so much for that. And why do you think it's so essential that we do this?
So as you were talking, I hope this is in line with the question, I started thinking about minding the power of our words. Not only does it entail with, what be careful of the negativity that comes out because it's powerful and it can inflict harm on others, but that negative can be inflicted on ourselves. It can be powerful and things that people say against themselves. So on the other spectrum, affirmations are more than just words.
Mm.
Positive affirmations are words that you tell yourself and you start to believe them and they begin to manifest. So not only can words be powerful negatively and damage, I wholeheartedly believe that if we start to institute the power of positivity and speaking life, the Bible says that the The power of tongue brings life and death. So, that being said, we should know that if we speak power over ourselves, we start to believe it. It starts to go through every fiber of our being, and it does bring about change. So, thank you for sharing with me, because sometimes when you're in a movement and it's like the root, something you're just starting, you really don't get to see how it's growing. But you sharing the comments on my chapter, and even at the book fair this past weekend, I had about 3 women that came to me and said, I have alopecia. So then
Mm.
I was able to start the conversation and ask them, how do they feel? How are they doing? So thank you. It's just so powerful. Words can make changes in people's lives.
Yes, I love that. And you know, I'm really proud of you for being featured at the African American Book Fair in San Antonio. And I had the pleasure of visiting and supporting and seeing your beautiful setup. And really I see that you're being recognized for your work. You're speaking at the United Nations, the presidential award. And it's just really the beginning. I know it. I know it. This is just really the beginning. And so we are, I think, over time, but
How we seem
I
to
just,
do that when we get together. I don't know what it is.
yes. I don't really know, but I just know that we're not gonna leave this conversation, you know, before you share with our audience how to continue this conversation and what is it that they can do to join it.
Thank you. And then for brevity of time, I would just like to invite the audience to help people with alopecia and appearance-related struggles to practice self-care, use affirmations, and to build a support squad. Knowing that when we do that, we have the power to eliminate social stigma, and ultimately we can save lives. So if anybody's interested in connecting with me, my alopecia affirmations, just use hashtag alopecia affirmations across social media, but on most of them, Instagram, LinkedIn, what do we have? X. I'm at the alopecia advocate. So I'm the alopecia advocate. I think I got everything in.
Yes, yes, and yes, you are. Thank you for your alopecia advocacy. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for your heart, for all of the love that you pour into those of us who know you and all of those who have yet to know you, because I know that you spread positivity and light everywhere you go. And I'm really grateful for our conversation today. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm sure that you really love this one. And I'm really excited to join with you every Thursday at the Transformational Storytellers Show. See you soon. And Stephanie's details are in the show notes. Follow her and visit her on her website. Mwah. Ciao, ciao.